Hello and welcome back to The Motivating Force. Joining me as always, we have host Sway, an aspiring Marine Corps officer who is finishing up ROTC and his bachelor's in the criminal justice field. And myself, Justin, a motivational speaker who's always more than excited to share all of our wonderful ideas and topics with you guys. For today's episode, the title says it all. Be careful what you ask for. We hear this all the time when we're younger, and we seem to kind of stop asking ourselves this question when we get older. And it still applies. Oh boy, does it still apply. And I have a couple stories here that I'm going to go into in my personal life, so bear with me, but I promise you we're bringing this thing back around full circle for you guys.
Yeah, thank God I'm not the only one spilling out my life stories. It's finally you.
Yeah, it's almost like a diary at this point for my my notes this week here. But, let's go ahead and dive right into it. And this first story, try not to judge me too hard. I was a little younger, and I promise you, the story is based off of real sincerity and not off of judgment. But, I spent a greater part of my late teen years wondering why we didn't have more millionaires in the world, and especially here in the U.S. So where I grew up was always in the suburbs that was closer to the countryside than it was the cities. So, driving around, we always would pass by more of the old, the trailer parks or the Cracker Jack style homes and whatnot. And for you guys that don't know, Cracker Jack style home is a real style of home from way, way back in the day. And it's pretty much just this anywhere from 600 to 800 square foot box.
Right.
And that's it. That's pretty much all you got. And, they're still well occupied and well lived in today. We drive by them all the time, and I'm always looking at it and kind of thinking a little bit introspectively, like if that was me living there. And I was always be like, man, how are these people happy living in these small spaces? Like, why don't they get out and do more? And my thoughts would always conclude with that, where I'd be like, why don't they want to go and earn more money?
Right.
And buy a bigger home and get nicer cars instead of just, living in this small space, sitting outside on the patio all day.
Yeah, literally the definition of judging a book by its cover.
Yeah, but I meant that with all sincerity, where that was questions I was actually asking myself because I was picturing myself sitting there and living in a house like that. And it's like, man, would I want that for myself? Like, why would people want to live so modestly?
Right.
And now getting older, I'm able to answer some of these questions here for myself. And again, keeping the whole premise here on, being careful what you ask for. But now with purchasing my first home 2 years ago, me and my wife are expecting a kid here in September, very soon. And I can now start to see things from this newer perspective. And all in all, I'm still grateful for that mindset I had in my youth, where I'd be introspective on looking at these living conditions for some people, because I do feel like it built a sense of hustle and a sense of push for myself. And I feel like it's always kind of geared me more towards seeking these money opportunities. And it was only until the last few years that I've been able to really understand what being successful really is all about. And I know we've preached it before, where we try to stay away from the word successful because people tie it in with money so much. And lately I've just been able to put that kind of more into practice.
Well, it's also like when you're speaking as a younger teen or later teen, you also tied in success with money. Not being able to see into those people's lives that lived in whatever house or whatever situation that they were in, you judged it by the outward appearance. And I'm assuming that that's how you tied in together successful and wealth and riches. You thought that those two went hand in hand until you were put into their shoes, almost literally, by when you got your house, you got your marriage, you are expecting your child. It changes that perspective to analyze, oh, maybe the outward appearance doesn't matter in terms of success and wealth.
Yeah, it's all about what's inside. And that's what I'm saying. It's great being able to really kind of put that idea into practice. And both of being careful what you ask for, which we're coming around to, but also the idea of success and what it means to really be happy. Because being successful really just means you're happy and you're at peace with yourself. And surprise, surprise, for a lot of people, that doesn't involve becoming a millionaire. And the way I kind of thought about it was like, when you're younger, you think of things really simply. So it's kind of like, oh, get more money? Okay, easy. Go out and earn it. Like, what's the big deal? What's the takeaway from that? And there is a lot to take away. There is a lot of sacrifice. And that kind of leads me into my second story here, where we kind of talk about seeing those types of sacrifices and the struggles it puts people through. And kind of unfortunately to say, I've seen that in one of my closer friends and watching what they're going through. And it really does kind of sit with me. And it kind of bothered me watching it.
Well, yeah, it's a friend of yours. It's somebody that you care about. So it sucks being on the witness, like the outside viewer perspective, watching them do that to themselves or whatever it is that you're about to say. It sucks seeing somebody that you care for struggle.
Yeah, and it hurts even more because they're coming at it with almost all the right intentions. And it's so innocent, but there's a lot of problems with that when you don't take the time to sit back and really evaluate what sacrifices you need to make in your life. Because they're really trying to make multiple lifestyle changes all at once. They're trying to get into home ownership. They're trying to get into having a family, which, they're currently working on. His wife is pregnant right now. And he's also seeking like more job opportunity, bigger growth. And unfortunately, he got his promotion. He got his raise. And now he's working twice as much. And he's getting twice the pay, which is what he was really looking for. But now he's coming to me all the time and he's struggling finding out like, look, man, I don't have time for my wife. I don't have time for my kids. I'm so focused on my job at this point and I'm making more money and it's leading me towards that home ownership that I'm desiring. And it's like, it's just stressing him out so much. And he's making so many different lifestyle changes all in one go that he didn't evaluate the sacrifices that have to take place in each one. And when you're making these major like personal changes, like starting a family, getting a home, and you're making these bigger occupational changes where he's literally working twice as much as before, going to his salary rate, getting the promotion, having more responsibility at work, those sacrifices clash.
Exactly. Yeah, and it goes to show what being able to reevaluate the goals that you have mean, especially like for him that he's making all these different lifestyle changes that, yeah, he should have, hindsight's 2020 now when he's in the midst of all this struggle, that it does suck. But it goes to show that he is starting to realize that, and hopefully he's able to, as soon as he pushes through and gets one of these goals, whichever one it is first, it relieves some of that stress. Because we have talked about before a long time ago that some stress is good stress. You need that motivation to keep fueling your fire to achieve that end goal. But we just have to make sure that that friend of yours doesn't give up on everything at once. Like he can't have this overwhelming feeling of stress weighing him down. So hopefully, let's say he gets the house first. Or, if one of those things is too much, let's hope it's the job. And then he takes a step back and goes, okay, maybe I shouldn't be working this much because I need to put more time and energy in my family. Right? Because, you don't want him giving up on the family. But hopefully he's able to realize one of these things needs to go. Or if he does get the house, okay, now you can shift your focus onto the other things. He's splitting up his time too much.
Yeah, definitely. And that's funny because that is the conversation that I did have with him about it when he's kind of like, look, man, he's like, I'm super stressed out all the time. I don't know what to do. Like, I honestly, at this point, he hasn't told me, but I'm pretty sure like he's taking antidepressants and stuff right now, which is also a whole nother ball game that I don't want to get into. But he's trying to cope with what he's doing. And the amazing part is like he's pushing through it. He's a warrior of his own breed. He's getting out there. He's doing his best to make all this stuff work. And to some degree it is working, but he's not happy.
Yeah. At the end, even warriors need time to rest.
Yeah.
Even those people that work crazy amount of hours need time to focus on other things, and taking a rest on whatever it is that's stressing him out needs to happen. He needs to be able to take a step back and realize that one of these things have to go. If it is getting to that point where he's getting to antidepressants, because that's something that, unfortunately we do have in the world and it helps some people, but it could also spiral, down.
we had a when we talked about it, we came up with a strategic pullback plan for him. Okay. And what we were doing was exactly what you mentioned, which is what I love. We're always on the same page with it. And I told him, like, okay, well, where's the housing situation at? Like, let's start there. He's like, well, we're still looking. I was like, okay, where are you at, though? What's the situation? He's like, well, we're living in an apartment. We're still signed through for the next 4 months. I said, okay. And I was like, okay, so let's completely take the idea of getting a house out of your head right now, because all it's doing is filling up space. And I know that's one of the points we were talking about before, where he's kind of like burning energy across the board here and trying to focus on too many things at one time. And all that's doing is creating this lack of energy towards focusing on what's important. So with taking the strategic step back plan there, okay, well, step back. Okay, we're going to evaluate here. Okay, let's remove the housing situation because you're not in dire need of it.
Right.
You're living somewhere for at least the next 4 months. Okay. You can always renew.
I mean, I would always recommend, what's really going to hurt in the long run, even if you do renew another year. Take another year to have that cushion for yourself, because, for the first year of a baby's life, it's going to be sleeping bedside. You're going to be right there with the baby. So you don't necessarily need that nursery or that extra room. I don't know if it's like a 1-bedroom or whatever, but you don't have to focus so much on that right now.
And that was the first point. So it's like, let's put that on the back burner right now. Let's get rid of that energy you're taking and take it away from that. It's like, okay, to focusing on the next step. Obviously, your wife is pregnant. Nothing you can do about that, right? You planned on it. You want to have it. You
need to be there. You
need to be there. Yeah. And so we know that's something that's going to be set in stone. This baby's coming. This is your due date. These are the changes you're going to have to make when that time comes. So let's get a set plan for that. Let's work on that. We did. And then it's like, okay, the next step here, we're talking about your job, your occupation, right? Okay. Now let's deconstruct that. Can you take a step down in your position, go back to where you were? If you can, what's the pay cut? Can you afford that? Because obviously at that point, they've been living in this apartment for a couple of years now. It's like you're obviously being able to afford it one way or another. So, maybe now with your wife not working, do you need this pay increase? If you do, you need to keep the job. Keep the job and then focus on shifting that energy that you're using away from the home. Take that extra energy, put it towards your wife. Because the necessity is the money you need to be able to provide for your kid, your wife, your household. And the optimal desire here is also maintaining that family structure, keeping your wife happy.
Yeah, a healthy relationship. You can't be wasting time at work that you could just be given back to your family.
Yeah, because what is all that success going to bring you if it's going to destroy your home life?
Right.
So, when we talk back, we talked through it all, and we got rid of some of these wishes that he had. Wishing for the better home, wishing to start the family, wishing for the career move to happen. It's like, well, the career move already happened. Your wife's pregnant. That already happened. Let's focus there and see if we can really work out a good plan for this and just scratch the other wish right now, right? And it's perfect because the way I thought about it was like that genie in the bottle. You get 3 wishes. He made all 3 of his wishes at once. And what's always the story with it, right? Yeah, you make a wish and you get something kind of like your wish with a setback. And it's like, oh, well, that's not what I wished for. And it goes, no, it is. Yeah. And it's what I want to preach to you guys about being careful what you ask for. It's you see the desire, you see the wish, the wants in your life, but what does that come with? Because there are good consequences and there are bad consequences with it. And I think that's what helped me realize why there's not so many more millionaires out there, because killing yourself at work, grinding and hustling all the time to become the millionaire isn't what the consequences to that isn't what people wish for, and they stay away from it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's what all of us really need to do is be able to reevaluate when we're trying to make these lifestyle changes and really take it one at a time, because you need to look at the whole picture of it. How is it going to affect your life entirely? Because every little thing you change will affect your life entirely. And you need to be able to make the right changes at the right time and be able to deal with the consequences, both good and bad, and deal with the sacrifices that you need to make that thing happen.
Right. And let's say, like, not even millionaires, but let's say you start making in the 6 digits, that's going to attract a lot more people that, you know, are there for that number. They're not there for your personal health or your growth as a person. And then that's a consequence too that people sometimes lose sight of, or they have a different idea about it. Like, oh, I'm just going to get more friends, whatever. That's more people around me. But then those same people are going to drag you down and not let you get to those financial goals that you have for yourself. When it comes to, you know, millionaires or whatever the case may be, that you have the consequences of what seem to be portrayed as a good intention or as a good consequence at first. But really it's, you know, you're not careful enough about the things that are coming your way.
A quote that kind of stuck with me from an interview with Elon Musk. And they were asking him, like, with all of his success and everything going on, all the money he has, the companies he's running, they're like, you know, do you wish more people could do this? And he said, no. And he goes, I encourage people to not do this. And he's like, and it's not selfish. He goes, what I'm out here trying to do and what I'm out here accomplishing, he goes, it hurts my heart, it hurts my body physically, and it hurts my mind.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm doing this out of the necessity I feel the world needs. The money doesn't mean anything. The companies don't mean anything. And it's like, I don't wish my life upon anybody.
Yeah.
And that's crazy hearing from one of the richest, most successful, brilliant minds that we have today. And it's like, why is that? Because he personally knows the sacrifices he's making in his life. And he's like, it hurts. It hurts everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to have to do this.
Yeah. I mean, I understand when he says, like, it hurts his mind, because imagine being a genius and trying to translate into layman's terms all the time to people that are kind of dum-dums.
The part there that really stuck with me, because I phrased it the wrong way. He ended it with saying, it hurts my heart.
Yeah.
You know, I know you were, but it's true, because you can hang on to different aspects of it. And it's like, where does that sacrifice hurt the most? And for me, when he's saying, like, you know, he's really thinking about it, he's like, it hurts my heart. It's like, man, that's what hurts me. That's where I feel it. Because, you know, I do my best coming out here when we want people to live a structured life and do the best things for them. Really, I just want you guys to be at peace with yourself. And I want you guys to find that success in where you're happy.
Yeah.
Because being happy and being at peace is the only thing you need. Because if you maintain that from today till the day you die, what better way to go?
Yeah. And let me, like, speak to your friend here if he's listening. I was kind of in that same scenario, not as much with, like, the kid and the wife and all that, but I did also, you know, I have that workaholic syndrome that kind of builds up from time to time, that I don't really feel at peace when I'm just resting and I'm just laying around. Like, I need to do something. And I have been through those times where, you know, I worked all the time. I would kill myself working because I just wouldn't sleep. I wouldn't get enough sleep or the best sleep. And that affected my household and my girlfriend. And thanks to the podcast, thanks to, you know, being able to be introspective and talk out loud about these things, or hear other people talking about it, that I was able to make that shift for myself. You know, I made that strategy plan for myself and got myself away from focusing so much of my time into the job. I kind of rearranged my scheduling at my primary source of income to then give a little bit more time to my family. And that has made my mind at peace. You know, I'm not stressing out like I was before. And overall, just being able to reevaluate your situation goes a long way when it comes to finding peace and being happy with what you're doing.
I appreciate that advice you got out there for him, because I know that this is also something that a lot more people struggle with, right? This isn't a special one-off case. There's many more out there like him, and it might be you sitting there listening to this right now. And that's why we like coming forward with these things and talking about it, because it's helpful towards everybody. And trust me, all the confidentiality is there. You're going to have no idea who I'm talking about, but we do want to bring these scenarios and situations to you guys, because if one person's going through it, there's a million more who are struggling from the same thing. And we want to help you guys through that. And the last bit of information I really want you guys to take home from this is kind of an afterthought. I didn't even really talk about this with them yet, but it's when we think about the desires and the wishes we have and what we want in life, like, oh, I want the $1 million, I want the fancy car, or, you know, I want to just have a good household, and I want to have, you know, a football team as a family, you know, have 6, 7, 8 kids and just go about it that way. Like, that's my main focus. Every desire you have, every wish you have, think of the consequences that come with it, good and bad. Think of the sacrifices you have to make, because, you know, the way I put it, there was a couple questions you should ask yourself every time you're trying to make a lifestyle change. Because, I mean, number one, don't make an all-around lifestyle change where you're changing every aspect of your life at once. You see how that's going for my friend, and I promise you that's how it's going to go for you too. It's a lot, because the sacrifices are going to clash, because you can't sacrifice your personal life to have a greater professional life and expect to do the same thing back and forward. There's going to be that give and that take. You only have so much energy to offer. So when you're thinking about these things, start off with, am I happy where I'm at? Because if you truly reflect on that, you're going to either realize, like, that wish, I don't need that. I don't want the sacrifices that come with that. I'm happier where I'm at now than I am making the sacrifice to make that next push. The second one, what can I do to be happier? So if you already are happy, because we are all about self-growth, if you already are happy, what can I do to be happier? Make your wishes towards that, because those desires are going to be more productive, more fulfilling for yourself. And if it's going to make you happier, then you know those sacrifices are, well, worth the sacrifice.
This whole episode kind of ties in with the quote that I dropped from the Stoic philosopher last Wednesday's episode, Chrysippus. I'm going to make it short and sweet, where he said a wise man wants nothing, but he still needs something. But it's the fact that the wise man, the wise person, doesn't want a lot, doesn't have all those desires weighing him down, because he understands the consequences that come with it. And then he also understands and appreciates the things that he does have. But then the foolish man wants everything. He gets led by all those desires out in the world, and then happens to make those same mistakes where he does take on the life change and a bunch of things all at once, and he doesn't really evaluate the consequences that come from that.
Yeah, that's why I was so mind blown by those quotes from last week when you were dropping them, because I was already working on this from beforehand. And it's like, man, those quotes are so perfect. They tie together so well with this idea I have, and next week's topic that I wanted to bring to everybody. And it's true, being able to step back and realize the full picture of everything really takes you further ahead in life than you think it will. The last two questions that you guys should be asking yourself when you're kind of evaluating these lifestyle changes are, what will it cost me to make these changes? Because straight up, focus on those consequences and see if they're worth living with.
Yeah, not the price point on what it's going to cost you. It's what's the sacrifice that you're going to need to take, because time is a currency when it comes to this. How much time are you going to take away from your family, take away from the loved ones that, confide in you or rely on you being near them or spending the time dedicated to them? That's a consequence that you need to take into account. And that's something that I didn't take into account. And I was just like, oh, I'm making more money, it's fine, I'll work all the time. No, it's not worth it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that time is always going to be more valuable than the money will be. So finding that happy medium is definitely something you guys need to focus on. And lastly, can I reasonably achieve these changes? And this goes towards coming into this, especially with newer people entering self-development, self-growth, is they have a lot to work on. So they're like, okay, well, I'm going to work on being happier in the workplace, being more productive. I'm going to work on my health. I'm going to work on my nutrition. I'm going to work on reading more. I'm going to do all these things, and you can only do it for so long until you're going to burn out. And it's like, you do see the bigger picture. You do see where you want to go in life, but it's going to take steps. And you need to focus on one of those aspects at a time moving forward, because you do have only so much that you can give. And as you get older, that gets more, you get more limitations applied to that. Like we're saying, like when you become a homeowner, or when you start a family, or when you get a promotion and you now have to work twice as much. These are things that are their responsibilities in your life that they're solid. You have them now. There's nothing you can do about that. So how do you go around that, or how do you adjust your plan to continue growing? And you can't plan for those adjustments if you're trying to attack everything all at once.
Right. I wholeheartedly agree with this. And it's something that people really need to evaluate before they start making these drastic life changes. I know we've talked about, making those smaller steps. And this is for the people that have already started making those adjustments to the bigger life-changing events or scenarios that they're putting themselves through. And it's never too late to readjust it. Even if you already started the path of making a giant leap forward in your career, in your life, in your marriage, in your family, it's never too late to go, okay, wait, let me see if I need to back out of the occupational one for a second, not quit, but adjust the time that you're spending there or the position that you have there. You can always work your way back up. You can't, you can go back to your family if you leave them, but it's not recommended because it's not going to be the same. You need to have that time with them. You need to really analyze what's important to you. And like I'm saying, it's not too late to make changes. And with that, I leave you all. You guys all, we're super grateful for everybody that listens to us and that follows us on social media, that likes and subscribes to our videos. We always recommend that you can share our videos with friends and family, employees, employers, whatever the case may be, just helping us get out there to reach more families, reach more people that are going through these same struggles. Because like Justin said earlier, if one person's going through this struggle, there's a million other people out there that need to hear some kind of advice or some kind of just words of inspiration that can help lead them into a better life path for them.
Yeah, definitely share this with somebody if you know they're struggling. Otherwise, tune back in. We're here Monday and Wednesday on YouTube at 8 a.m. EST. We're also on Anchor now, so that means we're on Spotify, iTunes, all the other outlets that Anchor provides. Feel free to check that out as well. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We have a lot of content going out there. Feel free to share that with your friends and family as well. I'm sure they have a lot they can learn and grow from as well.
And until next time, go on get.